Hello there, everyone. It's Patricia Hayes. And guess what? I'm back. Yes, twice in one day because the first one did not have sound. It's Monday. What can I say? So, we are here to honor our commitment to going live on Mondays. I did not want to send a pre recorded version of today's coffee time career chat, authentic networking edition. So I'm back and we are going to do this all over again today so that you can have your live coffee time. So, for those of you who are joining for the first time, but maybe the second time today, my name is Patricia Hayes. I am an executive advisor, career empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And what that means is that I love helping professionals, business executives, uh, entrepreneurs, folks who are trying to up level in their careers and in their businesses in order to make sure that they have the confidence and the empowered support that they need to get to the next level of where they are trying to go in their career and or business. And I love helping them to make sure that they're leveraging all of their resources effectively, especially that of their human resources when it comes to their professional relationships, so that they can do so authentically, honoring their values, and with purpose. Now, that said, we are talking about incorporating new opportunities into your calendar. This is the last in our series on exploring new connection opportunities. If you've missed the previous ones, the easiest way is probably to go to my YouTube channel and you can check out the others there. And I encourage you to go do so. But today we're going to be talking about really, this is much more not just strategy, but tactical, like the actual things you need to do in order to make sure that you connect and leverage those opportunities that you had from this previous year to make sure that you continue that momentum, that you don't lose it, and that you don't lose track of things. Because that's the thing, we can have all of these wonderful opportunities, and then what happens? We totally forget to follow up on them, to check them out, to reconnect. And so this is an effort to make sure that you don't do that, especially as you move and transition from one calendar year to the next. So the first things first is you must make sure to prioritize and plan ahead for those known opportunities. What do I mean? So we've just spent this entire last 2, 3 weeks talking about identifying opportunities, what it looks like. Last week, if you were able to join me for the Harvest Time challenge inside my authentic networking and connections group, then you were able to actually go through that process of just really taking a deep look at the experiences that you've had this year, the people you've met, and so that you can source them to move forward for next year. So, that said, if you've done that work, then what you really want to do is now you want to make sure you don't lose track of them. So, all of those things, those people, those opportunities that you've come in contact with, that you've been exposed to this year, and you're like, oh, that was really great. I didn't get to, schedule a connection call with that person, or I didn't get to follow through on that opportunity this year. Now, this is the time to be deliberate in prioritizing them and planning ahead and getting them on your calendar for next year. So when you do that, one of the things that's really, really important is identifying really and truly like what's at the top of the priority. So if connecting with certain people was really important because of a planned project that's coming up, then you want to make sure that those are first on your list. Don't put them off, right? Schedule them right now for January. Some people will be totally surprised. I've done that before. I'm like, hey, you know what? I know the holidays are coming up. We're not even going to fool with that. Let's get on the calendar for January, and so that we can both start fresh, right? It does not hurt to do that. If there's no immediate urgency to it, that is a great strategy to have. It gives people some relief because they won't feel like, oh my gosh, I got to take on this, another person before the end of the year, but instead allows them to say, hey, you know what? Yes, let's plan forward and get things on the calendar for January, February. Okay, that's definitely something to do. As far as other opportunities, workshops, conferences, speaking engagements. If these are things that you already know are potentially coming up, then you absolutely want to get them on your calendar where they fit best. So I will give you a perfect example. Back in the summer in June, I spoke at a leadership summit. It was a fantastic opportunity from a statewide organization. And I had access to their people. Some of them participated in my networking challenge, and I wanted to continue to move things forward with that. So, in my thank you note to the organizer, I said, hey, I would love to have an opportunity to chat with you again about any future opportunities there might be for me to share with your people. And he was like, sure, let's do that in August. Things are a little crazy, so let's do that in August. So I booked him on my calendar for August. We scheduled it, we talked. It was a very quick conversation. We talked a little bit about what other things that I could do that I was available for, and then he started processing a little bit about where that might fit for the next program in the new year. Perfect. I was like, great. I look forward to following up with you about that. So, what will happen now is now that it's November, I will follow up with him yet again to say, hey, I know you're planning your 2022. I would love to firm up what that looks like as far as me being able to share with your audience. And even if it's just kind of like, where I can put it on my calendar by month or quarter. Okay. That's what I'm talking about that follow up and making sure that you get something on the calendar. Even if he's not able to give me a specific date, let's say he knows, he's like, you know what, we build this program out by this, so it's probably going to be maybe February or March. Then what I will do is I will put a reminder on my calendar for January so that it gives me plenty of time to remind him for February or March that he wanted to bring me in, and so that we can continue forward. Now, some people were like, oh, I don't want to bother or whatever. That's not bothering. That's called following up. Do you know how busy people are? Especially people think that it's easier when you are either doing this work from home thing or this hybrid thing. It is not easier because now most people are taking and following like kind of two schedules, right? Their in-person schedule and their at-home virtual schedule. So what you're really doing is helping people along as long as you're doing it very professionally, as you're doing it in a, hey, I just want to check in and reminder fashion. Okay. That is something that I've done also with an opportunity with someone who reached out to me a year ago. And then things just kind of, fell apart, unfortunately, with the pandemic. And so, literally, every couple of months, every quarter, I just do a quick check in. Hey, I'm just checking in because here's the thing, that person had reached out to me on behalf of their organization. They haven't told me no. When they tell me no, then maybe I'll reconsider and back off. But it hasn't been a no. So I just put them on a schedule. I send a note. I connect through social, share things out, whatever it might be. Okay. These are the things that you know about. So prioritize them, keep them on the radar, and keep moving forward. All right. So it's really important to make sure that you do that. Okay. Next is from the scheduled, do those things that you know you need to do in order to move ahead. Now we're going to talk about not necessarily the flip, but let's talk about being flexible and leaving space for the unknown. How do you do that, Patricia? I'm going to tell you. So here's the thing. When you are being flexible and leaving space for those unknown things, it means that you are leaving time on your calendar to do the reflection work necessary in order to prep for new things that come along. Okay, this is super important and it will help you to build momentum on those things you've already known because you're already doing that kind of check in thing, but also for things that come up along the way. So, this might mean a weekly check in where you like schedule 30 minutes to an hour. And some people might say, "Oh, I don't have that time." Sure, you do. You have 168 hours in a week. So, if you're trying to move forward in your career, if you're trying to move forward in your business, let's have a real heart to heart conversation about not taking 30 to 60 minutes a week to do the reflection work about what's coming up as potential opportunities, as potential partnerships, potential collaborations with people that will move those goals and dreams forward. Okay. Absolutely worth it. We're talking about an investment of your time. And when you invest your time in yourself, amazing things happen. That's a whole other conversation. We're going to have to save that one for later, right? Let's talking about investing your time. Okay. And so this is what you're doing here is that weekly check-in where you just write down. So for me, that normally happens, I think on Mondays. That's kind of my planning day. If it's not, then it flips to Fridays, especially when those are my quote CEO days, like the days I really say I'm doing, heads down, focus on major projects. And so, whichever day, that's when I will put it on my calendar, not just my electronic one, because all that buzzing and beeping I ignore. I own that. So I actually still keep a paper calendar as well, and I will double book. I will put it on my paper calendar. I will put it on my electronic calendar. And what I'm also putting is it may just say generally, follow up on opportunities. Okay. And if it's that's it, you're like, well, how do you know what it is? Well, in your notes section is when you're specific. So it may say schedule appointment with Sally, follow up on this conference. Okay. Whatever it may be give yourself a little tickler in order to remember what it was. Okay. If you're a files person, emails, flagging, whatever it might be. Okay. Give yourself the tickler that you need to say, oh, yeah, I need to go schedule this call with this person, or I need to go to do a little more research about this. So, on the weekly side, those are things that are absolutely much more time sensitive. People you want to get in front of more quickly, that you have deadlines that have come up or that may have a quick turnaround on something. So that's where you place those types of things. You put those on the weekly reminder tickler, okay? Then when you're doing it, you're being flexible and you're leaving time monthly. So that monthly one can coincide with one of those weeklies. There's no need to double down, but make sure that you do it. So monthly, it may be something that has a slightly longer tail on it, right? Still maybe some deadlines, but maybe someone's like, yeah, I can't do this. Check back with me next month. Okay, that's the thing where you put on there, like, check back with this person. They asked me to check back with them. And then you follow up on that, via email, social media, whatever it might be, whatever platform works best. Okay. Phones work too. I have to remind people, like, we actually do have phones, and like you're actually supposed to be able to call and talk to people on them. So when you do the monthly, again, that same thing, putting your tickler inside of it, and then, making sure that you're keeping track. Then the last one would be a quarterly check in. So maybe the quarterly check in is something that has a very long tail on it, 3 months plus, right? It's things that don't have a specific deadline. So maybe it's a project that you're working on. Let's use, for example, you want to start a podcast. That's me. So you want to start a podcast. And let's say right now, you know that you want to launch that in June of 2022, right? So that's just an internal thing. But you want to engineer backwards, how do you get to that? So maybe it's right now, it's like, okay, on your weekly, it's scheduled time with this. Go look up a podcasting course or master class, right? That's on the monthly between now and then. On the quarterly, it's, start laying out your format, getting your video support, whatever your technical support in place. Those are the things you do because it's going to require you to interact with other people, to do some planning, whatever that is, so that you can be ready to launch when you want to. Now, people are like, well, that's just a project, planning. Well, guess what? Most people don't think about project planning their networking opportunities. They don't. They think of that as something different. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. When you're talking about leveraging your professional relationships, we're talking about having a plan in place to make sure you stay on top of it, especially when there are things that don't have a timeline, right? There's no one saying, hey, go meet all these people so that you can achieve this career goal. So that's what we're doing here is we're bringing it home, we're tightening it up and helping you to lay out a plan that, as far as a schedule, I will say, to prepare yourself moving forward for the next year. Then, thirdly and lastly, schedule the follow ups throughout the year. I've already kind of hinted at this. And this is really super important because anyone who knows me knows I always talk about the fact that people fail to follow up, and the gold is in the follow up. And if you follow up, you are probably within a small margin of folks, like less than 5%, who actually do. So do that extra step and follow up. One of the other things that's super important when you're talking about doing this and planning out your calendar long term is that when you're doing this right now, you can allow room for when to do this around holidays or around busy seasons, okay? As opposed to looking up and being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's the spring already. This thing was already supposed to be happening, or I didn't talk to this person. And now, if they're an accountant, they're like, they don't have time because they're getting ready for tax season or they're in the middle of tax season, right? These are the things that allow you to plan ahead when you know your audience or when you're getting to know them and building those relationships so that you can build around. When people talk to you and they're like, yeah, so let's plan this for X date and avoid these dates because these are super busy and crazy for me, this allows you the opportunity to respect those wishes and to make sure that you optimize the time that you have with them. Because the last thing you want to do is get on a phone, get on a Zoom call, or get in a workshop with people who really don't have time to deal with you because their mind is elsewhere, working on something else or thinking about something else that they should be working on. Okay. So you want to make sure that you do that, and so that you can move forward uh, with things in a timely fashion. Okay, so I think that is it. So we want to make sure you prioritize and plan ahead for those known opportunities. You want to make sure that you leave room for being flexible for the unknown things. And then lastly, make sure you schedule and follow up accordingly, being respectful of certain times of the year and busy seasons for folks, whatever that might be. Okay. So I want to make sure to extend to you an invitation because next Tuesday, November 9th, will be my last live networking masterclass for this year. This is the free masterclass that I offer on, about 4 to 6 times a year, building your profitable professional relationships. And I look forward to having you, sending people my way. Feel free to share. If you are unable to join us exactly at 11:30 a.m. Central, no worries. Make sure you register for the class, and I will send you the link to the recording for you to be able to access for up to 5 days post the class time. Okay. So you can still get access to the content, work your way through it. and be ready to help yourself and your team in order to move forward with making the connections and establishing the relationships that you need to achieve the goals that you have in place for yourself, for your career, and or your business or organization. Okay, would love to have you. And then we can talk about also, if you are needing more individualized work, just hit me up in the DMs or get on my calendar. I'm still doing some VIP days and times between now and the end of the year. So I think there's like 5 or 6 slots open. So happy to have that chat with you as well, and really dig in to help you be prepared for next year, and stay on top of the calendar, because there is a workshop opportunity, a winter workshop opportunity that's going to be coming up at the end of December. Super excited about all of these things. So just connect with me, let me know if you're interested. Get registered. You can go to patriciavhayes.com to register for the networking masterclass for next week. Okay. Thanks again for you guys for hanging in there and taking a second listen. And I will chat with you again later. Bye bye.